So when she heard the case of Tariro in 2021, Tsitsi Dangarembwa, a famous Zimbabwean novelist, had this to say, open court. This is yet another example of how women are seen as objects of male sexual pleasure and men's general well-being in Zimbabwe. Even when a woman defends herself from a man whose intentions are to violate her sexually, she is expected to put his well-being before her own. Close quote. Now, Dangarembwa is not the only person who felt that the law of the country was not protecting women, but rather protecting men more. Even the famous lawyer Beatrice Mutetwa also echoed the same sentiments. She said, open court, the weakness in the system is that only the court or the prosecutor general can determine that one was acting in self-defense. Our justice system is patriarchal, and judicial officers do not always understand how rape violates women and kills a part of them. Close quote. So these two famous women actually agreed that the law of the country was not really protecting the women. What do you think? Do you think the law of our country is protecting women enough? Hello everyone, hello good people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell so that next time I upload something, you can get a notification and you will not miss anything. So on this channel, I talk about real crimes, I talk about mysteries, I talk about murders, anything that is around the area of crime. And also, I talk about mostly Zimbabwean stories that, not just Zimbabwe, but mostly Zimbabwean stories. I talk about cases that have happened outside Zimbabwe, anywhere and everywhere Africans are thriving. And as a disclaimer, on this channel, everything that I talk about is already in the public domain. I love telling stories, but I don't make them up. I only tell you stories that are already in the public domain. So what I do is I dig around, I make up a video, and you can watch instead of you reading, right? I literally summarize it for you and make it a video and make you listen to it, watch it while you are on the go. Don't I make life easy? I think I do. So please, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell. You don't want to miss anything that happens on this channel. If you're an old subscriber, welcome back. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being part of the family. I do not. I am in a school setup right now, so if you hear noises from kids somewhere along my video, please guys, I'm really sorry. Hey, I'm actually at work. So yeah, we might hear some kids making noise, but I've tried to make sure that I record this video while the kids are in class. So if it just happens that there is noise, please just ignore it. I really just ignore it and continue with the video. But I've tried. I don't think we're going to have a lot of interruptions, but we just might have interruptions. If we do, I am so sorry. Please guys, continue watching the video and don't mind the kids. Don't mind my kids, okay? Don't mind my kids. Just continue watching the video. Okay, so let's jump into today's story. So today's story, I want to talk about two women that probably will never meet and probably have never met, but they do have something in common. These women are Benhildah and Tariro Matuta. Benhildah actually resides in GCPT, Harare, and Tariro is from Mudzi. Now, these women probably will never meet and they probably don't even know each other, but they do have something in common. They can actually feel for each other and they can relate to each other's stories. Both the women have been charged with murder after they actually killed men that were trying to rape them. Now, these two cases left a lot of debate in Zimbabwe, in the law industry as well as in the ordinary citizens, whereby people were asking, is it that the law does not really protect people who are victims, or is it that the law is more concerned about those that have died more than those that actually survived? Because these two women were victims of attempted rape, but the only reason they were not raped is because they managed to overpower the perpetrators and killed them in the process. And they were unfortunately charged with murder. Tariro was actually said to be an orphan living by herself in Muzi, or she was living with another family, but she was an orphaned teenager. So it's said that this man called Tsuro, okay? So Tsuro is the one who attempted to rape Tariro in Muzi. So what happened is Tariro was at home and then she was making breakfast. So this man Tsuro came over and he was trying to get intimate with her, which she said she declined flatly. She told him she was not interested. And this man was saying that he was going to take a pot of rice that she was making on the fire. She was making breakfast. So he was saying that he would take this pot and throw it away, just as a way of protesting. But Tariro said that she kept telling him no, and then he decided, okay, fine, he wasn't going to do anything, so he went away. And then he came back later in the evening and she was making dinner. So he again told her that he wanted to be intimate with her, and then she said no. And the man is said to have taken a pot that was on the fire that was making dinner, and he actually tipped the contents of the pot on the floor. Tariro is said to have been picking the meat, trying to clean it up and continue making her dinner. And this man continued nagging and telling her. The next thing, he stripped, and yeah, he showed his organs. And it is said that he was ready, if you understand what I mean. He was ready to have sex with her, and she wasn't having it. So she pulled a log out of the fire and she extinguished the fire using water, and she started hitting this man. And she said to have hit him several times all over his body, but twice on his head. She struck him twice on his head. Now, this man went away, but he was found dead the next morning. And Tariro had already told the neighbors what she had done. So when he was found dead, automatically they put one and one together and got it too. And they reported Tariro to the police. Tariro was arrested and charged with murder. Now, this is a 19-year-old who's orphaned. And you guys know how we already do things in our African culture or in our Zimbabwean culture. When you kill somebody, you have to appease Kuripangozi. So by the time that Tariro was already going to the courts and everything, the family that she was staying with had already been asked to do that to Kuripangozi. So they had already paid some cows to Tsuro's family, as well as to the chief, and some goats to the chief, because when you do that, when you kill somebody, you are supposed to pay the family as a way of appeasing their spirit, so that they will not continue to haunt your family, as well as your whole lineage that they can haunt. So if you do that, if you pay, then we believe that their soul, their spirit will rest and will not haunt you. So they had already been asked to do that. So by the time that Tariro was now being taken through the courts, that part, the traditional part, had already been done. Right. So now this case again, it brought about debate in the country where people are saying, but this child was trying to protect herself. Why is she being charged with murder? But, So when she heard the case of Tariro in 2021, Tsitsilangarembwa, a famous Zimbabwean novelist, had this to say, open court. This is yet another example of how women are seen as objects of male sexual pleasure and men's general well-being in Zimbabwe. Even when a woman defends herself from a man whose intentions are to violate her sexually, she is expected to put his well-being before her own. Close quote. Now, Dangarembwa is not the only person who felt that the law of the country was not protecting women, but rather protecting men more. Even the famous lawyer Beatrice Mutetwa also echoed the same sentiments. She said, open court, the weakness in the system is that only the court or the prosecutor general can determine that one was acting in self-defense. Our justice system is patriarchal, and judicial officers do not always understand how rape violates women and kills a part of them. Close quote. So these two famous women actually agreed that the law of the country was not really protecting the women. What do you think? Do you think the law of our country is protecting women enough? Not only just women, but women who are trying to defend themselves. Do you think the law is trying to protect women enough? Do you think the law looks at women as just objects? Do you also agree with Beatrice Mutetwa that our law is patriarchal? What do you guys think? Do comment down below and let's keep the conversation going. So when Tariro was charged with murder, human rights lawyers as well as the Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association definitely came to her defense. They came on board to try and secure her freedom. And they actually believed that she was not intending to kill the now deceased, but was just trying to protect herself, as what one lawyer said, Fadzi Ruzive. She said, open court, she purely acted in self-defense. She did not have any intention to kill him. He wanted to rape her. She was alone at home. She could not cry for help. Close quote. So, according to what happened here, Tariro was home alone. There was nobody who could come to protect her or to defend her. So she had to do what she had to do to protect herself. And that is what the lawyers believed was self-defense. But the court had to determine if indeed it was self-defense or not. So she had to be charged first and be brought before the courts. Of course, she was given bail. When they applied for bail, she was given bail because the courts, the prosecutor, agreed on a number of things that Tariro had explained. They agreed on the way the events happened. They agreed that what she was telling them was the truth, but they did not agree on the idea that she was defending herself. They were of the opinion that she could have done something else to defend herself, something that would not result in somebody losing their life. They totally agreed that, yeah, her steps, the way she told her story from when it started to where it ended, yes, that was correct. Yes, they believed her, but they felt that she should have done something else that did not result in the death of Suro. What do you guys think? When somebody is about to rape you, do you have the mental capacity to say, okay, I'm going to protect myself and protect this person at the same time? I don't know what you think. Also, this is a man. This is a 19-year-old at home by herself. And she knows even if she screams, nobody's going to hear her. So she thought she was doing her best. That's what I think. She believed she was doing her best to protect herself and not to harm the other person. I don't know what you guys think. But the law, the courts, the prosecutor general, they definitely believed that no, she went beyond protecting herself. She actually intended to kill. What are your thoughts? Do comment down below. The lawyers for Tariro, again, the Zimbabwe Women's Lawyers Association came through for Tariro. They decided that we're going to defend her and they were not going to stand and watch her go through it by herself. They were definitely going to be giving her legal advice as well as to be with her in the court. Okay, so this, I don't know if this thing has been finalized. I didn't see anywhere where this case was finalized or not finalized. But what I know is the lawyers in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association, were complaining that our law is actually not in favor of women. It still has men being protected more than women. Okay, first of all, let's talk about how the law of self-defense works in Zimbabwe. So according to a lawyer, she said the law in Zimbabwe that is concerning self-defense is such that it's up to the court to decide if this person was really in danger or not, and this person, if what they have done is justifiable, is if that was the only way to protect themselves, it is up to the court to decide. So she said, one lawyer said, open court, if the court believes it is self-defense, she'll be charged with culpable homicide. That is in the case of Tariro. And we will push for a non-custodial sentence, close court. That is in the court, in the case of Tariro. Okay. Goodbye. So when Tariro's case happened, it brought back memories of 2016 when Benhildah was charged with the murder of Pfungwa. Benhildah is a visually impaired woman who was working as a domestic worker in Chisipiti, and she lived with her husband as well as their gardener Pfungwa. The gardener was also married and lived with his wife, but the gardener was said to be somebody who really liked women, and he was making advances on Benhildah, and each time this man made advances, she would tell her husband. She said that she actually called him brother, like brother, just as a way of respecting him. But he constantly made sexual advances towards her, and she just couldn't understand why, because he lived with his wife, she lived with her husband. They were all living in the same compound. She was the house help, he was the gardener. They were working together. They were colleagues. They were like family, but he kept making advances towards her. And one day, he came and made advances towards her in the morning, and she managed to fight him off, but that was not enough for him. That did not deter him. He came back a little later. Now, she said she didn't tell his wife when he had made those advances because the wife was heavily pregnant, and she didn't want to cause any stress on this woman who had attempted to kill herself at 5 months pregnant when she discovered that her husband had a girlfriend. Now she's happily pregnant. How would you tell her that, oh, your husband tried to rape me? She just felt like it was not good for her to do that. She would cause unnecessary drama and unnecessary stress on this heavily pregnant woman. So she was going to tell her husband. So she waited for her husband to come back. But before her husband could come back from where he had gone, Pfungwa made a second advance, and this time it did not end well. So she said that she threw a water glass at him that she picked from the kitchen sink, but that did not deter him. She picked up a kitchen knife in the kitchen where she was working. That did not deter him either. He kept advancing, and he advanced. According to her, he ran into the knife that she was holding. And so I'm not sure where the knife stabbed him really, because there are two versions. There is a version that says that the knife stabbed him on the chest. There is a version that says that the knife stabbed him around the stomach, damaging his vital organs. But either way, the bottom line, the one thing that we can all agree on is Benhildah ended up stabbing Fungwa, and Fungwa staggered out of the house just a few meters away from the house they were working in, and he fell down and he died. So what happened? The employers called Highlands Police Station and made a report, and Benhildah was arrested and charged with the murder of Fungwa. Yeah, murder. Yes, she was charged with the murder of Fungwa. And obviously, when this happened, human rights lawyers heard the story and they came on board. I mean, like normal human rights lawyers would. Okay, so just like in Tariro's case, they came on board. They tried their best to defend her, to represent her, to make sure that her facts were put out there, that she wasn't a murderer, but she was a woman who was trying to defend herself from somebody who was going to rape her. And obviously, also being somebody who's visually impaired. Now, I'm not even sure if she's partially blind or if she's totally blind. I'm not sure there. But yeah, she's said to be visually impaired. So she was defending herself. And the lawyers, the human rights lawyers, as well as the Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association, they fought tooth and nail to prove that she was protecting herself. She had no intentions of killing this person. It was not premeditated murder. It was not murder either, but it was self-defense. In court, she was tasked with proving that indeed she was defending herself, and that she was in danger, and that there was no other way of protecting herself except what she did. And also to prove that what she did was justified, and that she did not intend to kill the man. So that's how the defense of when you're presenting your defense as self-defense, you have to prove those things according to the law of the land. Now, that sparked a lot of debate when she was charged with murder, because now people were saying, now look at it, this is a rape victim, and now she's being victimized by the law also. She was being victimized by the police. She's being victimized by the justice system, because we are supposed to be protecting these women. We are supposed to be protecting these victims and not putting them out there as murderers. We are supposed to be applauding them for protecting themselves. Of course, there is a dead person in the picture here. There is a family that has lost a breadwinner. There is a woman who's lost a husband. There are kids that have lost a father. But at the same time, there is a woman who was almost raped by the same man. Indeed, this does spark a lot of debate. So, what happens? What happens is Benhildah was brought before the court, charged with murder, and unfortunately found guilty of culpable homicide. Okay, the lawyers worked very hard to prove that no, she had no intentions of killing, so it couldn't be murder. So anyway, she was charged with culpable homicide and she was found guilty. She was sentenced to 3 years, 1.5 of which were suspended. Okay, so she was supposed to serve an effective 1 year, 6 months. Interviewed after she had been released from prison, Benhildah said that the events of that day really changed her life. but she was grateful that her husband stood by her. The Zimbabwe Women's Lawyers Association stood by her, and they fought tooth and nail together with her. She says that her distant relatives, extended families, they stopped talking to her because they labeled her a murderer. She said what was even more painful was that when her son was coming back from school, she's a mother of 2, by the way. Her son was coming back from school, and, on the day that everything happened, he got home and he saw that there were a lot of people around the house, and he was like, what's going on? And one neighbor actually said, oh, your mother killed somebody. Yeah, that is insensitive, right? But that's something that that child will live with for the rest of their life. Just being told from nowhere that, oh, your mother killed somebody. Yeah, but people are like that. Right? People can be insensitive. Well, it was true, but was it her place to tell this boy that your mother killed somebody? So the boy said he ran inside the house to actually ask the mom, is this true? Did this happen? And what. But at the end of the day, what is important is she eventually got her day in court, and she was found guilty. She served her time. I'm not sure if she served a full term, really, the 1.5 years. I'm not sure if she served the 1.5 years that she was given, or if the lawyers managed to fight to get her off before she could spend that much time in prison. Because what I read is she spent days in prison. So I want to believe that she didn't have to serve the 1 year, 6 months. I am not sure. What do you guys know about this story? Was she there for 1.5 years, or did the lawyers manage to appeal against sentence? Because for somebody in her situation, the lawyers were actually saying they wouldn't mind getting a non-custodial sentence. Yes, you said she's guilty. Fine. She's a first-time offender. She was trying to protect herself. She's visually impaired. She is this. She's a mom. She's this. She's working. She's got everything. Her life is in order. So why not give her a non-custodial sentence? So I want to believe that the lawyers managed to fight for a non-custodial sentence. By the time that she was interviewed, she was already back at work. Her employers totally believed in her. They believed that she would never harm anybody intentionally. She would not have killed that person on purpose. She did not do it on purpose. She was just trying to protect herself. So they actually believed in her. They felt in their hearts of hearts that she was innocent. She was just protecting herself. So after she came out of prison, she went back straight to work. Wow. There are some people that are like that, actually. Yeah. They believed in her innocence like that. I'm sure they'd known her for such a long time that they knew that she was not capable of A, B, C, D. She only did A, B, C, D because she felt that was the only way out. Okay? So that's the story of Benhildah. But what do you guys think? Do you think our law as a nation is protecting women, or is it protecting victims enough? Do you think that victims of rape or attempted rape are also being persecuted by the law, by the courts, by the justice system as a whole? Do you think that women in our country are protected? Are the laws for women in Zimbabwe sufficient to protect the women? What do you guys think? Just comment down below. Now, there is a law in Zimbabwe, right? Self-defense. So there are parameters that, or sort of borderlines, parameters, let's call them parameters, that guide what is self-defense and what isn't self-defense. So if you are falling within those parameters, then it was self-defense. But if you are falling out, then it was not self-defense. And it is up to the courts, it is up to the prosecutor general to define or to conclude that, okay, this was self-defense. No, this was not. So it is said that the law of self-defense in Harare, in Zimbabwe rather, is vague, and it leaves a lot of power with the courts. It leaves, even the police have no room to like say, okay, this was self-defense. Okay, we are going to charge you with this. This was self-defense. But rather, it's up to the courts. So the police, their first step is to charge you with murder. It's only the courts that will decide if it was self-defense or not. So that law is said to be very vague and to leave a lot of the burden is more on the court to prove that it was self-defense. Also, the burden is on the victim or on the accused to prove that it was self-defense. She has to convince the court that it was self-defense. More like guilty until proven innocent. You are a murderer until you are proven otherwise. So Beatrice Mteta, a famous lawyer in Zimbabwe, was quoted as having said, open court, our law needs to be looked at so that police can have discretion when they look at the evidence. It should also allow the magistrate to grant bail, but when they say it's murder, then the case needs to go through the High Court. Okay, close court. The law of Zimbabwe that is concerning self-defense says, open court, if a person genuinely and on reasonable grounds but mistakenly believes that he or she is defending himself or herself or another person against an unlawful attack, he or she shall be entitled to a complete or partial defense to any criminal charge. Okay, guys, that's the story of the day. What do you guys think? Do you honestly think that the law is doing enough to protect women in Zimbabwe? Do you think that these women should be charged with murder? Do you think that of course this is not a license for anybody to kill? If you are being charged with if you've successfully pleaded a self-defense, that's not a license for anybody to kill anyone, and it does not take away the fact that somebody's life was lost in the process. But all we are saying is that do you think the self-defense law of Zimbabwe is sufficient to protect women? Because it is said to be very vague, and it leaves a lot of it gives the court all the room to decide on who is self-defending themselves and who actually intentionally killed somebody. Do you think that the law should be changed? If it should be changed, what do you think should be included in the law to make it more protective to women, or to victims rather, not just women? It could be a man who's trying to defend himself from another man. It could be a man who's trying to defend himself from a woman. But all I'm saying is self-defense law in Zimbabwe. Do you think it's sufficient? Do you think it covers what needs to be covered? Do you think there is more that we need to do? I mean, as legislators, I'm not a legislator, them legislators, do you think they need to do something to change, or do they need to add something to the law so that people that are actually defending themselves can safely defend themselves and not find themselves being charged with murder while they were trying to protect themselves? I don't know, guys. What do you think? And still talking about the two women, Tariro and Benhildah. I mean, do you guys think that their charges of murder are justifiable? Do you think they need to be charged with murder? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do comment down below. Do comment down below, please. Tell us what you think. Let's keep the conversation going. And do you know any case of anybody who was charged with murder after they had killed somebody in the process of defending themselves? If you do know any, please do comment down below and tell us what happened. Where did this happen? Where did this happen? And what was the result of this case? Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share. And yeah, Let's make the channel grow. Let's grow the family together. Thank you so much for watching. Stay blessed and stay safe. Protect yourselves, protect your loved ones. There is COVID out there. There are criminals out there. There are perverts out there. There are people that are just trying to harm other people out there. Do what you need to do to protect yourself and your families. Be blessed. Goodbye.